Hey guys, this is Franklin Walker, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the state of the U.S. economy that we're facing right now. We see the date today, October 7th, 2016. We saw yesterday silver drop down from $19. I think the lowest point, I think it did hit 17, which is a massive drop, a $2 drop. Now I want to tell you why you should not be alarmed. In fact, in all reality, when everyone else sells, I'm the kind of individual that runs in to buy. I see a deal. I see a metal that is worth more than it's valued at. And when I get an opportunity to get more, I keep my eyes out for those moments. I know that they're lying to us. I know. I call companies almost every day. Companies that, as you look at their business info, were making $10 to $20 million that are now closed, that are replaced. I know that the economic policies that are in place right now are only kept afloat by quantitative easing, which only increases the value. I know that when you go ahead on your silver sites, you're seeing shortages. You're seeing things that are sold out. Your go-to product is sold out. The physical demand for silver rises more every day. So why the price fluctuation? Why do we see a moving price that is not connected to the reality of the situation? And you think back to the reason you got into silver. Because you were concerned. Because you were concerned about your retirement funds. You were concerned about the value of the dollar hitting a point that there's no return. You were concerned about the government printing out trillions of dollars. You were concerned about the fact that during the crisis, when the dollar went down to 70 cents on a dollar, that every $100,000 you had in your bank account was only worth 70, even though the numbers were the same. And you see it. You go into the grocery stores. You see your $3, $4 milk. Your inflated prices on your meat. You see that you're able to buy less with more. And you think to the reasons you're getting into silver. I see something that is precious. And I wish I knew this when I was younger. That the populace runs to, not only here but around the world. Anytime that there's any kind of an economic problem, and we see all of Europe dipping down, suffering in their economic systems. Deutsche Bank just stopped withdrawals about 3 or 4 days ago. Major banks that were actually right now in litigation, they just got denied their appeal on their metals fixing lawsuits. What happens when a world bank like Deutsche Bank doesn't have the money? The people can't withdraw the money. That's just it. The money's gone. The money's gone. The impacts of these massive drops in the stock market is yet to be felt. Is yet to be fully felt. Because the money's gone. What happens when the credit's gone? We see the Federal Reserve with rock bottom interest rates, trying to get people to borrow. I see people with college degrees, and it looks like they have nice homes, nice cars. They're renting. They're renting. They don't own them. These banks, they own them. They're paying off. What happens when the people who pay their paychecks don't have any more money? The face of this country could change in a moment, very quickly, quicker than you could be ready to prepare for. Because these people that were living well, 1968, 40% silver, these people that were living well and prosperous, all of a sudden are homeless and desperate. And they work hard. I mean, you see these people, college education, creditors crawling down their back. Creditors surrounding them when it's time for them to retire. By the time they retire, that is because the money's gone, folks. Maybe you don't remember a rich America. Maybe you think it's just always been this way. Credit is not money. Borrowing is not money. It's debt. It's got to be paid, or you begin to lose. And what happens when the people running our monetary system are a private entity that we borrow money from that we can't pay? Yeah, we're that retiree. The phone keeps ringing that they can't answer. This country's that retiree. Keeps the lights down after 5 when they're home to make sure they don't get served their collection notice. And they're lying. They control the media. They control the news. They control the banks. They control the money. It's a matter of time before it comes collapsing. Because you just can't borrow money without producing something, without manufacturing something. The factories are closed. Exports are not taking place. The American economy is hurt. The American worker is hurt. When they print more money, there's not more money. There's more debt and more paper, devaluing the currency. Why do you think the gold is at the price it's at? Maybe you're old enough to remember a time when gold was $300 an ounce. Maybe less. Maybe you're old enough to remember when silver was $3 an ounce, $5 an ounce. It didn't become more valuable. It's the currency. The system is flawed and they just print more and more. But unless you're making more, which we're not, the economy's not growing. It's not growing at a large enough amount to be able to recover from this debt. We're sitting in a country with the largest amount of debt in the history of its existence. $18 trillion. You can't even fathom how much money that is. You can't even begin to understand how much money that is. And where did it go? It's gone. It went to the banks that issued it, went to the banks that printed it. And when they print this money, this dollar becomes worth less and less. They control the crashes. They control the recovery. They control the interest rates. And then when people begin to figure out that they really don't have the money, they go to the bank and the bank shuts off your card. What will you do? It's time to start putting a little away. Every time you get, every chance you get, savings accumulating in your savings account, invested in the stock market. Most people don't realize who's even holding their 401k, where it's at. In the last crisis, people lost a lot of money out of their retirement accounts. What will you do when you're too old to work, too old to swing a hammer, too old to continue in your profession, but the money's gone? And SSI, Social Security, is bankrupt. And they come for the money. They come for the money. When they say, we don't have the money to pay you, time is now to start putting a little bit away. You see, with all that debt, was listening to some story. It was talking about if somebody has $5 in their pocket and no debt, then they're richer than 25% than 75% of Americans. So the time is now to take money and start having it detached from the system. And that is the value, the true value of money, of silver, is it's something detached from the system. It rises, it falls, there's profit still to be made, but you got to remember the reason you got into it in times like this. Because when I see the price drop, I rush in. I rush in. I know it's going to go higher. I know we're going to see higher silver prices. It's inevitable. When? I don't know the answer to that. I know that there was a time when an ounce of silver was made into $1, then $3, then $5. I mean, during times of great economic crisis, it went up to $49 an ounce. It's going to continuously increase because they're going to continuously print more money. So every opportunity you can find, you got to ask yourself, when people like J.P. Morgan go and purchase 50 million ounces of silver, when their previous holdings were only 1 million in silver. You got to ask yourself why. These people who are a part of the cartel that prints the United States dollar, what do they know that you don't know? No, when the price drops, it's an opportunity to acquisition. It's an opportunity to buy. Don't be like the sheep that move, because that price is not fixed to anything. All these major banks rigging these markets, it still doesn't stop the demand. It still doesn't stop the silver hunters. It still doesn't stop the coin prices. So you got to remember the reason you got into this. The reason you got into this, even if you began to buy at $50 an ounce, $49 an ounce, it's not a loss yet. You had a realization at that point, and right now it's going for a steal, going for a bargain. It's time to get in when everyone else is getting out. I mean, isn't that how these people got rich from these massive stock market collapses? Went and pick up all the stocks at dirt cheap prices and wait for it to come back. Isn't that what the smart money does? So if you have excess money, you have money sitting around, put a little away, take it out of their system, take it out of their control, convert it out of their dollar. That's why they want to control the gold price. That's why they get afraid of a gold price. That's why at one point in time they were confiscating gold in the United States. It's because it threatened the dollar. Because people's money, being in a separate form of currency, which they do not consider currency. They don't consider gold money. They don't consider silver money anymore. It was illegal because it was a threat. It was a threat. You have to look at it and realize when having your money sitting in zeros on a bank screen is a threat to your family's livelihood. Take times like these as opportunities and offer that can't be missed. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining me. Have a great night. Wait till we see what we got in this very last one.